Dr. Zeek-Thala pressed her 4 hands against the cold metal wall and stared through the thick glass. Inside the room, a massive creature lay on the floor. The beast was bigger than anything she had ever seen. Its black fur moved like liquid shadow, and 6 bright yellow eyes looked around the room with fear and pain. The creature was called a Kethran apex predator. Humans had given it a simpler name: Void Wolf. It was 3 meters tall and covered in burns from plasma weapons. The burns ran across its side like angry red lines. Every few seconds, the wolf would make a sound that was part whimper, part growl. The sound made everyone nearby feel uncomfortable. Dr. Zeek-Thala had been working at the Galactic Medical Center for over 50 years. She had seen many strange aliens and treated dozens of different species. But this creature was different. This creature was dangerous. Very dangerous. "We cannot treat it," said Chief Medical Administrator Velquin. Her voice was sharp and final. Velquin looked like a giant insect made of crystal. When she was angry, her shell made clicking sounds. Right now, she was clicking a lot. "The rules are clear. We do not treat Class 9 predators. We do not have the right training. We do not have the right equipment. We do not want to die." The Void Wolf had been found 3 days ago. It was floating in space inside a small escape pod near Kepler Station. The pod was damaged and almost out of air. Whatever ship the wolf had been on was gone. Only pieces of metal and space dust remained. 3 other medical centers had already said no. They all gave the same reason: too dangerous. Now the wolf was here at the sector's best medical facility. And the answer was still no. Dr. Zeek-Thala looked at the wolf again. It was getting worse. She could see that much without any fancy equipment. The creature's breathing was getting slower. Its eyes were losing their bright yellow color. Whatever was wrong with it, the wolf was dying. "The damage to its internal systems is beyond our understanding," said Dr. Haxuxura. He was tall and thin with tentacles instead of arms. "The plasma burns have created damage at the molecular level. Our healing machines cannot even scan the wounds properly. The creature's body works in ways we have never seen before. And the liability," added Dr. Velquin. "If this creature dies while we are treating it, the Kethran Empire will blame us. If it lives but attacks someone, the Galactic Council will blame us. If we do nothing and it dies, well, at least we followed proper protocol." In the corner of the observation room stood a human. Dr. Sarah Chen was not supposed to be here. She was just a veterinarian from Earth. The only reason she had been invited was because the wolf had been found in human space. The aliens wanted someone to witness that they had tried to help. Sarah wore simple blue clothes that looked very plain next to the fancy robes of the alien doctors. She carried a small bag with basic medical tools. Compared to the advanced equipment around her, her tools looked like toys. While the aliens argued about rules and protocols, Sarah watched the wolf. She had spent 30 years treating animals on Earth. She knew the signs of an animal in pain. More importantly, she could see things the aliens were missing. The wolf's breathing pattern told her it had internal bleeding. The way it held its body meant it had been hurt when something hit it hard. The plasma burns were bad, but they were not what was killing the wolf. Something inside was broken. "How long has it been since the creature last ate?" Sarah asked. The aliens stopped talking and looked at her. Dr. Velquin's crystal shell clicked in annoyance. "We do not know." "Why does it matter?" "Because hungry predators act different than well-fed ones," Sarah said. "And scared animals are more dangerous than calm ones. This wolf is both hungry and terrified. Of course it seems aggressive." Dr. Haxuxura waved his tentacles dismissively. "The creature's emotional state is irrelevant. Its physical condition is what concerns us. And that condition is beyond our ability to treat." Sarah moved closer to the glass. The wolf's eyes found hers and held them. For a moment, the creature stopped moving. It tilted its head slightly, like it was trying to understand something. "What if I told you I have treated similar injuries before?" Sarah said. The room became very quiet. All the aliens stared at her. "Impossible," said Dr. Zeeksthala. This species was only discovered 18 months ago. No human has ever— Not this exact species, Sarah interrupted. But I have treated plasma burns on Earth wolves. I have fixed internal bleeding in bears. I have helped predator cats with brain injuries that your machines could not even detect. The basic ideas are the same. Dr. Velquin made a sound like breaking glass. It was her version of laughter. You think that simple Earth medicine could work where the galaxy's best doctors have failed? Sarah looked back at the wolf. Its 6 eyes were barely open now. Its breathing was getting weaker. In maybe an hour, it would be dead. I think sometimes you do not need to understand every tiny detail to save a life, Sarah said. Sometimes you just need to care enough to try. Absolutely not, Doctor, Velquin said. The risk is too great. The creature could kill you. It could escape and kill others. Our equipment could be damaged. The legal problems alone. So we just let it die? Sarah asked. We follow proper protocol, Dr. Velquin replied. Sarah watched the wolf take another weak breath. On Earth, she had saved thousands of animals. Dogs hit by cars, cats poisoned by chemicals, wild animals hurt by hunters. She had never let fear stop her from trying to help. But this was not Earth. This was a space station filled with alien technology and alien rules. This was a creature that could probably kill her with one swipe of its claws. This was way beyond anything she had ever attempted. The wolf's eyes found hers again. In those 6 yellow eyes, Sarah saw the same thing she had seen in every injured animal she had ever treated. Fear, pain, and a desperate hope that someone would help. What if, Sarah said slowly. We are asking the wrong question. What do you mean? Asked Dr. Zeeksthala. What if the question is not whether we can save this creature? Sarah said. What if the question is whether we are the kind of people who try? 1. The Emergency Medical Council met in the station's main conference room. 20 of the galaxy's best doctors sat around a glowing table. They had been arguing for 3 hours. The Void Wolf was getting worse with every passing minute. Dr. Velquin stood at the head of the table. Behind her, a large screen showed the wolf's vital signs. All the numbers were going down. The situation is clear, she said. We cannot help this creature. We do not have the knowledge. We do not have the equipment. We do not have the legal authority. Dr. Haxazura's tentacles moved in frustrated patterns. The creature's neural pathways are completely alien to us. Its brain works in ways we have never seen. One wrong move during surgery could cause permanent damage. The biochemistry alone is impossible, added Dr. Zenkari. She looked like a walking plant, with purple leaves. When she was stressed, her leaves became darker. Right now, they were almost black. Its blood contains elements that should not be able to exist together. Our medical computers cannot even model how it stays alive. Sarah sat at the far end of the table. She felt very small among all these advanced alien doctors. Her simple medical bag looked pathetic next to their high-tech equipment, but she kept thinking about the wolf's eyes. She kept remembering the fear and pain she had seen there. The plasma burns have created quantum-level damage, Dr. Zeeksthala explained. The tissue has been damaged at the atomic level. Our regeneration machines cannot work on something they cannot understand. It would be like trying to fix a broken clock with a hammer. Dr. Velquin nodded. Dr. Zeeksthala is correct. The creature's cellular structure defies our understanding of biology. The plasma energy has bonded with its DNA in ways that should be impossible. Our healing technology simply cannot scan the damage, let alone fix it. Sarah raised her hand. What if we are making this too complicated? The aliens turned to look at her. Some seemed annoyed that she had interrupted. Others looked curious. Explain, said Dr. Velquin. Sarah stood up. She felt nervous, but she made herself speak clearly. On Earth, we have a saying. When you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. It means the simplest answer is usually the right answer. This is hardly a simple situation, Dr. Haxazura said. Maybe it is, Sarah replied. You keep talking about quantum damage and impossible biochemistry. But look at the basic facts. The wolf was in an explosion. It has burns on the outside and bleeding on the inside. Those are problems I have solved hundreds of times. Dr. Zenkari's purple leaves rustled. But the species is completely unknown to us. Its biology could be totally different from Earth animals. Sarah pulled out her tablet and showed them pictures. This is a dire wolf I treated last year. Plasma burns from a mining accident. This is an Arctic bear with radiation poisoning. This is a mountain cat with brain trauma. All of them were hurt by technology they had never encountered before. All of them survived. Those are Earth animals, Dr. Velquin pointed out. You understand their biology, do I? Sarah asked. I am a human. Dire wolves are not human. Bears are not human. Cats are not human. But pain is pain. Bleeding is bleeding. Fear is fear. Some things are universal. Dr. Zixthala leaned forward. You seriously believe that primitive Earth medicine could succeed where our advanced technology has failed? Sarah looked around the table. Every alien face showed doubt and disbelief. I believe that sometimes technology gets in the way of healing. You are so busy looking for quantum solutions that you are missing the simple problems. Such as? Asked Dr. Haxazura. The wolf has internal bleeding, Sarah said. Probably from being thrown around when its ship exploded. The plasma burns are painful, but they will not kill it. The bleeding will. And we are wasting time while it bleeds to death. Dr. Velquin's crystal shell clicked rapidly. Even if you are correct about the cause, how would you treat it? Our surgical equipment is not designed for this species. Our anesthesia might kill it. Our blood substitutes might poison it. Basic surgery, Sarah said. Find the bleeding. Stop it. Close the wound. I have done it 1,000 times, with tools much simpler than what you have here. The room erupted in shocked voices. Several doctors started talking at once. Dr. Zenkari's leaves turned almost purple-black. Dr. Haxixura's tentacles writhed in dismay. Basic surgery? Dr. Velquin's voice was sharp with disbelief. On a creature we do not understand? With techniques that are centuries out of date? The liability alone would be mine, Sarah interrupted. I will take full responsibility. If it goes wrong, blame me. But if we do nothing, the wolf dies for sure. If we try, maybe it lives. The creature is one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators, Dr. Zixthala said. It could kill you the moment you enter its room. Sarah had been thinking about that too. On Earth, I have worked with grizzly bears, Siberian tigers, and pack wolves. All of them could have killed me, but injured animals usually know when someone is trying to help. Usually, Dr. Haxura emphasized. Yes, usually, Sarah agreed. But what is the alternative? Let it die because we are afraid? Dr. Velquin stood silent for a long moment. The screen behind her showed the wolf's vital signs getting weaker. Finally, she spoke. Dr. Chen, what you are suggesting is not just dangerous. It is insane. You want to perform surgery on an unknown species using outdated methods with no backup plan. That is correct, Sarah said. And you believe this will work? Sarah looked at the screen showing the dying wolf. I believe it is worth trying. Dr. Velquin's shell clicked slowly as she thought. Around the table, other doctors whispered to each other in alien languages. The vital signs on the screen continued to drop. The Kethran Empire will hold us responsible if their sacred predator dies in our custody, Dr. Velquin said finally. They will also hold us responsible if it dies during an unauthorized surgery by an unqualified human veterinarian. Then we are in trouble either way, Sarah pointed out. Dr. Velquin sighed, a sound like wind through crystal caves. Dr. Chen, against my better judgment and the advice of every medical professional in this room, I am going to grant you emergency authorization. You will have 1 hour to prepare. After that, the creature will be moved to Surgical Bay 7. You will work alone. None of our staff will assist you. Sarah felt her heart start beating faster. Thank you. Do not thank me yet, Doctor, Velquin said coldly. If you fail, The wolf dies, and you will likely join it. If you somehow succeed, you will have turned every medical protocol in the galaxy upside down. Either way, nothing will ever be the same. Sarah picked up her simple medical bag and headed for the door. Behind her, she could hear the aliens starting to argue again. But their voices seemed far away now. All she could think about was a frightened wolf with 6 yellow eyes, waiting alone in a cold medical bay, hoping someone would care enough to try. Sarah stood outside Surgical Bay 7, taking deep breaths. Through the reinforced door, she could hear the void wolf moving around. It made low, rumbling sounds that seemed both angry and afraid. Her hands shook slightly as she checked her medical bag one more time. The bag contained basic tools: scalpels, forceps, thread for stitches, bottles of antiseptic, and packages of bandages. Compared to the alien technology around her, these tools looked ancient, but they were tools she understood, tools she trusted. Dr. Velquin's voice came through the intercom. "Dr. Chen, are you ready?" "As ready as I will ever be," Sarah replied. "Remember, we cannot help you once you go inside. The door will be sealed. If something goes wrong—" "I know," Sarah interrupted. "Open the door." The heavy door slid open with a soft hiss. Sarah stepped inside and heard it close behind her with a solid thunk. Now she was alone with one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators. The room was large and white, with bright lights overhead. Medical equipment lined the walls, but Sarah had asked for most of it to be turned off. Too many beeping machines would make the wolf more nervous. In the center of the room, the void wolf lay on a padded platform. Up close, the creature was even more impressive. It was massive, with muscle visible under its black fur. The plasma burns along its side were worse than Sarah had thought. The burnt fur gave off a sharp, chemical smell, but what struck her most were the wolf's 6 eyes. They watched her with intelligent wariness. Sarah moved slowly across the room. She had done this dance many times before with frightened animals. Step by step, breath by breath, showing she was not a threat. "Hey there, big guy," she said softly. The universal translator turned her words into sounds the wolf could understand, but Sarah hoped her tone would carry through. "I know you are scared. I know you are hurt. But I am here to help you." The wolf's ears moved forward slightly. It stopped rumbling. Sarah took this as a good sign. She knelt down about 2 meters away from the platform, close enough to show she was not afraid, far enough to give the wolf space. "My name is Sarah. I am a doctor, but not like the others you have seen. I work with animals. Animals like you." The wolf tilted its head. Its 6 eyes never left Sarah's face, but the tension in its body seemed to ease slightly. Sarah opened her medical bag and pulled out a small device. It was a simple stethoscope, the kind human doctors had used for centuries. The aliens watching through their cameras probably thought it was primitive junk, but it would tell Sarah what she needed to know. "I am going to listen to your heartbeat," she said, holding up the stethoscope. "It will not hurt." She stood up slowly and took a step closer. The wolf's muscles tensed, but it did not growl or snap. Sarah took another step, then another. Finally, she was close enough to touch the creature. "Easy," she whispered. "Just relax. Let me help you." She reached out slowly and placed her hand on the wolf's shoulder, away from the plasma burns. The fur was softer than she had expected. Under her palm, she could feel the wolf's heartbeat. It was fast but strong. The wolf's 6 eyes stayed fixed on her face, but it did not pull away. If anything, it seemed curious about this strange alien, who was not afraid. Sarah moved the stethoscope to the wolf's chest. Through her headphones, she heard the sound she had been expecting. The heartbeat was irregular. There were pauses where there should not be pauses. The wolf was bleeding inside its chest cavity. "Just like I thought," she murmured. "You have got some internal bleeding. Probably hit your ribs when your ship went boom. But we can fix that." She moved the stethoscope to different spots, mapping the wolf's internal injuries. The aliens watching had equipment that could create detailed 3D images of every organ, but sometimes, Sarah had learned, simple tools worked better. They told you what you needed to know without confusing you with too much information. The good news is that your heart is strong, she told the wolf. The bleeding is not too bad yet. The burns look scary, but they are mostly surface damage. You are going to be okay. The wolf made a sound that was almost like a purr. Sarah had never heard anything like it. But somehow, she knew it was a good sound. She spent the next hour examining the wolf with her simple tools. She checked its reflexes with a small hammer. She looked at its eyes with a penlight. She felt along its bones for breaks or cracks. All the while, she kept talking in a calm, steady voice. The aliens watching through their cameras were amazed. They had tried to examine the wolf with their advanced scanners, and the creature had nearly destroyed the room in its panic. But with Sarah, it lay still and calm, occasionally making that strange purring sound. Fascinating, Dr. Zeeksthala whispered to her colleagues in the observation room. The creature's stress levels are lower now than they were when it was just lying alone. Look at its brain activity, Dr. Haxura added, pointing at a monitor. The fear responses have almost completely stopped. Dr. Velquin watched in silence. She had been a doctor for over a century. She had treated hundreds of species across the galaxy. But she had never seen anything like this. The human was using equipment that belonged in a museum, and somehow it was working better than their most advanced technology. Back in the surgical bay, Sarah finished her examination and sat back on her heels. She now knew exactly what was wrong with the wolf. More importantly, she knew how to fix it. "Okay, buddy," she said, looking into those 6 yellow eyes. "Here is the deal. You have got some torn blood vessels inside your chest. I need to go in and fix them. It is going to hurt a bit, but then you will feel much better." The wolf looked at her intently, as if it understood every word. Sarah pulled out a syringe filled with a mild sedative. She had chosen a drug that was safe for most mammalian species. It would not knock the wolf unconscious. Just make it sleepy and relaxed. "This is going to be a little pinch," she warned, then quickly injected the sedative into a muscle in the wolf's leg. Within minutes, the wolf's eyes became heavy. Its head lowered to rest on the platform. But it continued to watch Sarah with calm attention. "That is it," Sarah said softly. "Just relax. I have got you. You are going to be fine." She began laying out her surgical tools. Scalpel, clamps, sutures, antiseptic. Basic tools that every veterinarian learned to use. Tools that had saved countless lives across the galaxy, even if the aliens did not realize it. The wolf's breathing became slow and steady. Its 6 eyes blinked drowsily, but remained focused on Sarah's face. In that moment, Sarah felt something she had experienced thousands of times before. The absolute trust of an injured animal. "Relax, buddy," she whispered, as she prepared to begin surgery. "I got you." Sarah made her first cut with a steady hand. The scalpel sliced through the wolf's black fur and into the skin beneath. Dark blood welled up immediately. But not too much. The sedative was working perfectly. The wolf remained calm and still. In the observation room, 20 alien doctors watched in fascination and horror. Dr. Velquin's crystal shell clicked nervously. She is cutting into the creature without any detailed scans, without any backup plans. This is madness. "Look at her technique," Dr. Zeeksthala said, her 4 eyes focused on the screens. "Every movement is precise. She knows exactly what she is doing." Sarah worked quickly but carefully. She had performed this same surgery hundreds of times on Earth animals. The basic anatomy was always similar. Ribs, muscles, blood vessels. The details might be different, but the principles remained the same. As she cut deeper, she encountered something unexpected. The wolf's muscle structure was unlike anything she had seen before. Instead of the typical layered arrangement, the muscles were woven together in complex patterns. For a moment, she paused. "Problem?" Dr. Haxura asked through the intercom. "Just different," Sarah replied. "Give me a minute to figure this out." She studied the unusual muscle arrangement, then smiled. "Clever design," she murmured. "Much stronger than normal mammalian muscles. No wonder these wolves are such effective predators." Instead of forcing her way through the muscles as planned, Sarah found the natural gaps between the woven fibers. She worked her scalpel along these spaces, following the body's own design. It took longer, but caused much less damage. "Remarkable adaptation," Dr. Zenkari observed. She changed her entire surgical approach in real time. The wolf continued to watch Sarah with drowsy trust. Occasionally it would make that soft purring sound, as if encouraging her to continue. Sarah reached the chest cavity and immediately saw the problem. 3 small blood vessels had been torn when the wolf was thrown around during the explosion. They were bleeding slowly but steadily into the chest space. Left untreated, the wolf would eventually drown in its own blood. "Found it," she announced. 3 torn vessels. Nothing too serious, but they need to be sealed. She began the delicate work of repairing the vessels. Her tools might be simple, but her hands were skilled. She had spent 30 years learning to work in tight spaces, around vital organs, while animals trusted her with their lives. The first vessel was easy to reach. Sarah clamped it off, trimmed the torn edges, and sewed it closed with tiny, precise stitches. The bleeding stopped immediately. The second vessel was harder. It was tucked behind a section of lung that she could barely reach. Sarah tried several different approaches, each time pulling back, rather than risk damaging healthy tissue. "She has been working for 4 hours, Dr. Velquin noted. "How long can she maintain this level of precision?" As if she had heard the question, Sarah paused to stretch her shoulders and flex her fingers. The wolf noticed her movement and raised its head slightly. "Just taking a little break, buddy," Sarah said softly. "Still doing good. Almost done with the hard part." She reached into her bag and pulled out a protein bar. The aliens watched in amazement as she took a bite, while standing over the open surgical site. "She is eating during surgery?" "Dr. Hacks," Yura said in disbelief. "Smart," Dr. Zixthala corrected. "Maintaining her energy and blood sugar. We should have thought of that." Refreshed, Sarah returned to the second vessel. This time, she approached it from a completely different angle. Instead of trying to reach it directly, she used her tools to gently move the surrounding tissue. After 20 minutes of careful manipulation, she had clear access to the tear. "Got you now," she said, and quickly sealed the second vessel. The third vessel was the trickiest. It was located deep in the chest, near the wolf's heart. One wrong move could cause serious damage. Sarah studied the area for several minutes, planning her approach. "This is the dangerous one," she told the wolf. "I need you to stay very still for me, okay?" The wolf's 6 eyes blinked slowly, as if it understood. Sarah worked with infinite care. Every movement was deliberate and controlled. She could feel sweat beading on her forehead despite the cool air in the surgical bay. The aliens watching held their breath as she navigated around vital organs. 15 minutes later, she tied off the final suture on the third vessel. All the bleeding had stopped. The wolf's chest cavity was clean and dry. "Beautiful work," Dr. Zixthala whispered. Sarah began the process of closing the chest. This too required adaptation. The wolf's rib structure was different from what she was used to. The ribs were thicker and more flexible, designed to protect against the powerful impacts these predators must experience. She modified her closure technique, using a pattern of sutures that would flex with the unusual ribs rather than fight against them. Again, instead of imposing her preconceptions, she worked with the wolf's natural design. Finally, she reached the skin. The outer closure was straightforward, though she chose a cosmetic suture pattern that would minimize scarring. The wolf was clearly a magnificent creature. Sarah wanted to make sure it would still look magnificent when it healed. "Surgery complete," she announced, stepping back from the table. All bleeding stopped. No complications. The wolf lifted its head and looked at the neat row of stitches along its side. Then it looked at Sarah and made the loudest purring sound yet. "You are welcome," Sarah said, reaching out to gently scratch behind one of the wolf's ears. To her surprise, The creature leaned into her touch. In the observation room, the alien doctors sat in stunned silence. What they had just witnessed went against everything they had been taught about medicine and surgery. 8 hours of surgery using tools that are centuries out of date, Dr. Velquin said slowly. On a species we do not understand. With no backup technology. And it worked, perfectly. More than worked, Dr. Haxiura added. Look at the creature's vital signs. They are better now than when it first arrived. But what amazed them most was not the technical success of the surgery. It was the relationship between the human and the wolf. Throughout the entire procedure, the predator had remained calm and cooperative. It had seemed to understand that Sarah was helping it. The creature trusts her completely, Dr. Zenkari observed. I have never seen anything like it. Sarah was now cleaning and bandaging the plasma burns on the wolf's side. The burns were painful but not life-threatening. She applied antibiotic cream and wrapped them in soft gauze. These are going to hurt for a while, she told the wolf. And they will probably leave some scars. But scars just mean you survived something that tried to kill you. Wear them with pride. CA. The wolf rumbled approvingly. As Sarah packed up her simple tools, she felt a sense of satisfaction she had not experienced in years. On Earth, veterinary work had become routine. But this had been a true challenge, requiring all her skills and experience. How do you feel, big guy? She asked the wolf. In response, the creature slowly stood up on the platform. It was wobbly from the sedative, but clearly much stronger than before. It looked at Sarah with all 6 eyes and made a sound that could only be described as grateful. That is what I like to hear, Sarah said with a smile. You are going to be just fine. Outside in the corridor, word was already spreading through the station. The human veterinarian had done the impossible. She had saved the untreatable patient, using methods that everyone had dismissed as primitive. But for Sarah, standing next to a grateful void wolf, it had never been about proving anything to the aliens. It had simply been about caring enough to try. 3 weeks after the surgery, Sarah walked through the corridors of Kepler Station with an unusual companion. The void wolf padded beside her, its black fur gleaming under the artificial lights. The plasma burn scars were barely visible now, just thin silver lines that caught the light occasionally. The wolf had refused to leave Sarah's side since recovering from surgery. When officials tried to transfer it to a proper containment facility, it had simply sat down and would not move. When Sarah appeared, it immediately became cooperative again. The message was clear. Where she went, it went. Sarah had named the wolf Cosmos after the vast star field where he had been found. The name seemed to fit his dignified bearing and intelligent eyes. Those 6 yellow eyes followed her everywhere, watching the corridors with alert curiosity. Dr. Chen, called a familiar voice. Dr. Zixthala approached with 2 other alien doctors. The Galactic Medical Council would like to speak with you. Sarah nodded. She had been expecting this summons. Word of her successful surgery had spread throughout the galaxy faster than a hyperspace transmission. Medical schools, research institutions, and government agencies all wanted to understand how a simple human veterinarian had solved a problem that stumped the galaxy's best minds. The council chamber was packed. Representatives from dozens of species filled the curved amphitheater. At the center, Dr. Velquin stood at a crystalline podium. Her shell clicked nervously as she spoke. Dr. Chen, Velquin began. What you accomplished 3 weeks ago has caused quite a stir in medical circles. The Kethran Empire has demanded a full explanation of your methods. Medical schools across the galaxy are requesting your techniques, and several governments want to hire you as a consultant. Sarah stood at the speaker's platform with Cosmos beside her. The wolf sat calmly, his massive presence causing several delegates to shift nervously in their seats. I did not do anything special, Sarah said simply. I just treated an injured animal. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Dr. Haxiura leaned forward with his tentacles writhing. But you succeeded where our most advanced technology failed. How is that possible? Sarah looked around the room at all the alien faces staring at her. Maybe that is the problem. You were so focused on advanced technology that you forgot the basics. Explain, demanded Dr. Velquin. You spent hours arguing about protocols and liability, Sarah said. You ran test after test looking for exotic explanations. You brought in specialists who specialized in specializing. But nobody looked at the simple facts. The wolf was bleeding inside and needed surgery to stop it. Dr. Zenkari's purple leaves rustled with agitation. But the creature's biology was completely unknown to us. How could we risk surgery without understanding every detail? How could you not? Sarah replied. Sometimes you have to act, even when you do not know everything. Sometimes the risk of doing nothing is greater than the risk of trying something. She gestured to Cosmos, who tilted his great head toward the delegates. This wolf did not need to be understood completely. He needed to be helped immediately. The quantum scans and molecular analysis could wait until after we stopped him from bleeding to death. A delegate from the Alterian Medical Consortium spoke up. Your surgical techniques were remarkably primitive. How did they prove so effective? Sarah smiled. That is exactly the point. Simple techniques work because they focus on the essential problem. When you have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. When you have quantum scanners and regeneration matrices, every problem looks like it needs quantum solutions. Dr. Velquin's shell clicked thoughtfully. Are you suggesting our technology is somehow inferior? Not inferior, Sarah said. Just overcomplicated for basic problems. Cosmos needed surgery that any first-year veterinary student could perform. But because he was classified as an unknown alien species, you assumed he needed unknown alien solutions. The implications of her words spread through the chamber like ripples in a pond. For centuries, galactic medicine had focused on specialization and technology. Each species had its own medical experts. Each condition had its own specialized equipment. The idea that simple, universal techniques might be more effective was revolutionary. But the creature's unique muscle structure, Dr. Haxura protested. Your surgical approach should not have worked. It worked because I adapted to what I found instead of forcing what I expected, Sarah explained. When I saw his muscles were woven differently, I changed my technique. When his ribs were more flexible than normal, I adjusted my closure pattern. You have to work with the patient, not against them. A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. Ambassador Krathak of the Kethran Empire stood slowly. He was tall and imposing, with silver skin and 4 arms. His people were known for being fierce warriors who valued strength above all else. Dr. Chen, he said in a deep, rumbling voice. The creature you saved is sacred to my people. Void wolves are our companions in battle, and our guides through the stars. We had given up hope when our own healers failed to save him. He paused, looking at Cosmos with obvious respect. Your simple kindness has created a debt that the Kethran Empire can never repay. We would like to offer a formal alliance with humanity and share our biotechnology with your people. The chamber erupted in surprised chatter. Alliance offers from the Kethran Empire were extremely rare. Their technology was among the most advanced in the galaxy. But Sarah was not finished. The real question is not how I saved Cosmos. The real question is why everyone else gave up so easily. Silence fell over the chamber. You have the best equipment in the galaxy, she continued. You have the smartest doctors, the most advanced research, the most sophisticated protocols. But when faced with something new and challenging, your first instinct was to find reasons why it could not be done. She reached down and scratched Cosmos behind his ear. The massive predator leaned into her touch with obvious affection. Maybe the galaxy needs less specialized medicine and more universal compassion. Maybe you need to remember that healing is about caring for living beings, not just managing biological systems. Dr. Velquin was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. Dr. Chen, what you have accomplished has implications far beyond one successful surgery. You have challenged the fundamental assumptions of galactic medicine. Good, Sarah said. Maybe it is time those assumptions were challenged. Over the following months, Sarah's influence spread throughout the galaxy like seeds on cosmic wind. Medical schools began teaching adaptive protocols, alongside their traditional specialized curricula. Doctors learned to start with simple solutions before moving to complex ones. Research facilities hired generalists to work alongside their specialists. The Kethrin Biotechnology Alliance led to breakthrough treatments for dozens of previously incurable conditions. Other alien species, impressed by the human approach to medicine, opened diplomatic relationships with Earth. Sarah returned to Earth eventually, but not alone. Cosmos came with her, along with a delegation of alien medical students eager to learn human veterinary techniques. Her small clinic outside Denver became an unofficial interspecies medical center. On quiet evenings, Sarah would sit on her porch with Cosmos lying beside her, his massive head resting on her feet. Sometimes ships would streak across the sky overhead, alien vessels carrying doctors trained in the human approach to healing. "Who would have thought?" she would say to Cosmos, scratching his ears. All it took was remembering that every patient, no matter how strange or scary, is just a living thing that needs help. Cosmos would rumble his agreement, and together they would watch the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, doctors were learning that the most advanced medicine in the universe was simply caring enough to try. The HFY legacy was complete. Humans had not conquered the galaxy through superior weapons or technology. They had changed it through something much more powerful: the simple willingness to help those who needed it, regardless of the risks or complications involved. And in medical centers across the galaxy, a new phrase entered common usage. When faced with impossible cases, doctors would remember the story of the human veterinarian and the void wolf, and they would say, "Maybe we need to think like a human."